Starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon. This is Carmen Lopez with College Horizons and Graduate Horizons. Welcome to our webinar that will talk about Graduate Horizons 2014 being hosted by Cornell University in Ithaca, New York, July 12th through 15. Today's webinar is going to talk a little bit about why attend Graduate Horizons and then also the actual application process. A quick overview, again, my name is Carmen Lopez. I'm Director of College Horizons and Graduate Horizons. I come from the Navajo Nation. Previously, I used to direct the Harvard Native American program, and while there, I was a reader for the Kennedy School of Government's Masters of Public Policy. So I've had a little bit of experience on that side of looking at graduate school application process, so that has helped to inform me, as well as working with grad students for both the master's, doctoral, and professional schools at Harvard. I'll let Hilary Abe introduce himself.
Hi everyone, my name is Hilary Abe. I'm the Coordinator of Recruitment and Alumni Affairs for College and Graduate Horizons, Mandan Hidatsa and Arikara. I'll be behind the scenes today, helping you out. If you have any tech problems, feel free to chat to me in the chat box, or feel free to ask a question in the question box on the panel in the right. Thanks for making it today.
Great. And then Hilary will also be one of the primary contacts for Graduate Horizons as you're working on your application, or if you have questions, Hilary will field a lot of the initial inquiries as well. So we'll go over the webinar, how to participate, and then again, what is Graduate Horizons, who should apply, and then part 2 is application instructions and tips on applying. And then we'll have a question and answer session. So feel free again to submit your questions through the question box throughout the presentation. And then Hilary will compile those and ask me those questions at the end. Today, we're recording this webinar. It will be available for download. I'm going to talk fast. I want to try to make this 30 minutes, so when you play back, you can get to the pieces that you really need to listen to. The audience will be on mute only. You're only going to see the slides. Again, if there's any technical difficulties, use the chat box to send a note to Hilary and he'll try to help you out. And then again, questions and answers will be at the end, but you can submit questions as we move through the slides and Hilary will prep those at the end. Okay, the Graduate Horizons program will be hosted in 2014 by Cornell University, located in Ithaca, New York. A big thanks to Cornell. It's a large initiative by various schools and departments, the American Indian program, so we're excited to work with them. In fact, next week I'll be flying out to visit the school and do my site visit in preparation for next year's program. Okay, so what is Graduate Horizons and who should apply? This picture is a great one. This was of the cohort at the 2012 program at Harvard in front of the Widener Library. So these were the faculty and students in the program. Grad Horizons. Graduate Horizons falls under the umbrella of the nonprofit organization College Horizons. Sometimes it gets confusing because we also have an actual program called College Horizons for the high school students. But our mission is to encourage and facilitate the higher education of Native American young people. Young for us can be many ages, especially for the Graduate Horizons program. And really our goals are to get more Native American students into college and graduate school, as well as graduating and completing that degree from both college and graduate or professional schools. We were founded in 1998 by Dr. Whitney Laughlin at the Native American Preparatory School, and today we're now a national nonprofit that services both high school students and college graduates across the nation. Again, we have two programs. The high school program services current 10th and 11th grade students. So if you know of siblings or children or relatives that are current 10th and 11th grade students, have them take a look at our College Horizons website and application. That program will be hosted by Dartmouth College in 2014. In 2015, the high school program will be hosted by Stanford University and Bowdoin College. Graduate Horizons, the second program, was launched in 2004 at the request of our College Horizons alumni. So far, about 600 participants have been served, as well as about 2,500 high school students through the College Horizons program. And now we run the Grad Horizons program every 2 years. And essentially, at the core of our work, we provide admissions counseling, financial aid counseling, and transition support in terms of how to be a successful candidate in applying to college or graduate and professional school, and then how to be successful in these higher ed institutions as a Native student. So the need, there's an achievement gap, both in the K through 12 high school and college graduation rates remain disproportionate to the national average. Less than 0.025% of Native college graduates continue on for graduate and professional school. So we've just got to get more educators or more students into our professional and graduate level. So that's part of our focus, is pipelining students from our College Horizons onto the Graduate Horizons program. You'll hear me talk a lot about at Grad Horizons, nation building through education. I love Professor Wilkins' quote, "Indian peoples are nations, not minorities." I really believe in terms of admissions, not thinking of Native people in terms of race and ethnicity, but in terms of our citizenship, in terms of our sovereign status with our Native nations. And this is an important thing too when you're thinking of yourself as a graduate student, that you're coming to get a certain skill set, a professional skill set, or you're going to contribute to a field of study as an expert. And we need to think about it through this lens of nation building, of improving ourselves individually, and the ripple effect that that will have through our family, our communities, and our nations. We serviced American Indian, Alaska Native, Native Hawaiian, and for the Grad Horizons program, we also service First Nations of Canada. So that's different from the college program. A quick snapshot of our demographics from the 2012 program. 50 tribal nations were represented from over 25 states. 50% of the students also in Grad Horizons are first generation, and that's an important thing in terms of grad school application, is they're still looking at that first generation impact. About 60% of our students are current college students. 75% of our students are female. 50% live on or near reservations or homelands, and then 40% of the professionals that are not college students, 40% of them, their work directly services Native peoples. So what do? We provide a 3-day intensive workshop on graduate admissions for either the master's program, doctoral program, for professional schools, and counseling also on joint degree programs. We work with a cohort model, and you'll work in one of 8 cohorts based upon your discipline or field of study. Generally, the cohorts are between 7 to 12 students and 4 to 5 faculty. So this is very intimate. You're going to get a lot of feedback, a lot of one-on-one work with the faculty, and individualized instruction. The faculty advising. So the faculty that attend our program are admission officers, sometimes professors from that institution that might sit on an admission committee, or sometimes there also are student service or graduate professionals that are working in student affairs offices that work with graduate students. So they're generally admission officers or folks that are working with pre-graduate admission. So we're going to help you on your readiness to apply to graduate school or professional school, not necessarily your readiness for grad school. So there's a difference there, and readiness for grad school is going to come around a lot of conversations around your academic credentials, as well as sometimes work experience and the prerequisites that are required. We'll talk about that to you within the cohort, but really we're focusing with you on your readiness to apply and helping you to come up with a plan and how to be strategic in preparing yourself right now to apply to graduate or professional school. We're also going to advise you on career paths, what kind of jobs are related to either the graduate or professional school program that you're going to, as well as research opportunities. We are serving as your mentors. We're your cheerleaders, but we are also there to give you some straight up advice, some real feedback. And if you're ready to hear that critical feedback, it's a great program for you. Some of us have to prepare ourselves to be ready for that feedback. Particularly, it tends to be for Grad Horizon students around our academics. Sometimes we've had some tough semesters, and that's okay, as long as you've been rebounding from it. But we have to address those things. I don't always like to talk about deficit models, but at Grad Horizons, we're going to help you assess your strengths and your weaknesses. And around the weaknesses, the good thing is that we're going to help you to come up with a plan about how to address it. So if you're ready to hear that from us, we're ready to give you that feedback, but you also have to prepare yourself for that. The last thing around Grad Horizons, we're 3 days. Life for you is busy, whether you're a college student or a college graduate. You're still dealing with your academic studies. Some of us have families and children that we're taking care of, and others of us are working, or we're doing all three right now. And it's hard when you're living your life to start to carve out time to focus on grad school. It's the easiest thing to keep on putting off. We can make lots of excuses for when am I going to start to get ready for this? What do I need to do? So Grad Horizons just provides you with 72 hours of uninterrupted time to focus on yourself and your plan. Children can't participate and fly with you. Your partners can't participate and fly with you. All of you stay in the dorms on the host campuses, actually. So it's a self-indulgent experience to have that luxury of just thinking about yourself and your future around graduate school. And again, for those of us that have busy lives, you sometimes need that external push and that environment to get you focused. And I think one of the best parts about the program, in addition to the faculty advising, is the 100 other participants that are with you, because everyone comes with this energy of focusing on what is next and talking about our dreams and our goals. And it's a great thing when you're around other like-minded people to help give you that confidence boost. So the cohorts at the program, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about professional schools. This is training for a career, or you're going to be training for a field of work. All right, so the difference between professional school and graduate school. Graduate schools is generally mastering a field of study. So this is important. You got to know which one are you going into. Sometimes you might be thinking about a joint degree program, which we'll talk about later. Now, the cohorts at the grad program, you'll be broken into either arts and humanities for those interested in things like English, history, art, music, museum studies, film, communication. There's also a business management and entrepreneurship cohort, an education cohort, law cohort. Then the health sciences is comprised of those interested in medicine, dentistry, or public health. We also have public policy, public service, and tribal policy/leadership. And then we have STEM as a cohort, as well as social sciences and Native American studies, those interested in anthropology, sociology, psychology, social work. And then we have you indicate whether you're interested in the doctoral program or also joint degree programs. With the doctoral programs, there's unique aspects in your application process compared to those that are applying to a master's degree program. So these again are going to be the nuances that we're going to help you understand the difference between the master's and the doctoral program, and then the prerequisites and the strategy in applying to one or the other, including sometimes people say, well, I'm going to get my master's first and then I'm going to get my PhD afterwards. Well, sometimes that might be a good plan. Other times you could be wasting a lot of money instead of just jumping into the doctoral program right away. It just depends upon the field that you're going into, and it depends upon where you're at right now with your academics, your research, your work experience. Joint degree programs, these are enrollment in a simultaneous graduate programs for 2 graduate degrees, and it's usually offered within the same university. Some universities partner externally with other universities to offer joint degree programs, but with joint degree programs, generally you're also applying, you still have to complete 2 separate applications to the 2 different schools and get admitted to both of them. So for those of you that might be interested in an MD, MPH, or an MPP and a JD, or an EDM and an MPP, there's a lot of different combinations out there, and joint degree programs have been created to meet some of the interdisciplinary needs of students today, or because there's such overlap in jobs that you need both a business side of understanding as well as health sciences, for example. So there's some great joint degree programs. Usually also with the joint degree programs, they shave off 1 year of curriculum for you. So instead of doing 2 separate single programs, 3 years at one school and 2 years, they might then combine it where you're doing 3 and 1 or 2 and 2. It just depends upon the joint degree program. Okay, so thinking about what are we looking for? What are we looking for in terms of the GH participants? Who should apply? Current college students and tribal college students, you need to have an equivalent of 2 years of coursework completed. So for college students, you need to be in your sophomore year. For tribal college students, it's the same of being in your second year, getting ready to transition into a 4-year degree program. And what we need to do is evaluate your academic performance to date. And we need to understand the coursework you've taken in order to best advise you how to be strategic academically going forward. So we need 2 years of equivalent coursework completed. If you are a college graduate or a professional, and we had about 1/3 of the attendees that are 5 years out, and then another 1/3, 5 or plus more years out. For those of you interested in the advanced degree for career advancement or professional development, Grad Horizons is appropriate for you as well. We've had participants that are 15 years out from their undergraduate experience who've come to the program. One thing to know about Grad Horizons, our focus is on competitive admissions. Our partners are coming from selective institutions, so we're going to be advising you on preparing for competitive admissions to selective institutions. Generally, you would be required to be full-time students and in residence. We're going to provide some information on part-time grad work or hybrid online / in-person programs, but we don't partner with any full-time online degree granting programs. So just know that the focus curricularly is on selective institutions and competitive admission, and this will service you. It doesn't matter the type of graduate or professional school that you'll be applying to. Ultimately, we're preparing you for the most selective. Do not apply if you are currently applying to graduate or professional school now or in the spring, and if you're wanting to enroll next spring or next fall into graduate or professional school. So if you're currently applying to graduate or professional school, don't apply to Grad Horizons, because you'll be in graduate school by the time you come to our program next July, and we won't be able to service you. Then the other part that we're looking for, if you're still uncertain about graduate or professional school, that's not what we do either. We're not there to convince you about going on to graduate or professional school. We're not introducing you to this next step. We're looking for candidates who are ready to take the next step to apply to graduate school, generally within the next 1 to 3 years. And again, at our program, we're going to help you think about that timeline. Some of you might be thinking you're ready to apply in 1 year, but when we help you to do the self-evaluation, you might see that you've got some gaps that you need to fill if you want to be more competitive, if you want to be strategic. So you don't need to be ready to apply to grad school within the next year, but if you're interested in the next 1 to 3 years, we're looking for you. And then finally, you don't need to know exactly what you want to study in graduate school, you know, when you're coming to the Grad Horizons program, but you need to have a good sense of where you're going. You need to know the cohort that you want to be in, because the instruction that we're going to give you, if you're thinking about law school versus business school, two really different applications, or doctoral programs, very different application than even a master's degree program. So those are the things that you need to be have a better sense of, especially by the time you get to our program, which you'll have some homework to do in advance. So, snapshot of the grad school process. You're going to have to figure out the appropriate schools, programs to apply to. You're going to have to complete application forms and fees. You'll either have to complete a statement of purpose or a personal statement, or sometimes applications have both. So what's the difference between the two? Academic writing samples might be required for some programs. So for those of you in college, you might need to hold on to some of those writing samples, or if you're thinking about whether to do a thesis or not, again, you can be strategic around some of these writing samples, especially if you're wanting to go into doctoral programs. You're going to have to gather your college transcripts, and that means every single transcript of any credit hour you ever took at any institution. That's going to be required for your graduate school application. They're going to be looking at your overall GPA, and then they're going to review your graduate entrance exams, GRE, the LSAT, the MCAT, the GMAT, the DCAT. Generally, a resume or a CV is required as part of your grad application, and then letters of recommendation, both academic and professional. We'll talk a little bit more about this later on. Some schools require one of each, or one or two, or a combination. So it just depends upon the type of school that you're applying to. And we want you at Grad Horizons to start to develop your relationships with professors. Those of you that are in college, you need to be strategic about this. Those of you that have been out of college for several years, this is your opportunity to reconnect with a professor and let them know what you're doing now, remind them about who you are, should that grad school you're applying to require an academic letter. Some programs require a certain amount of work experience, 1 to 3 years or 5 years, or they might require research experience. And generally, what they want to see is that you have a demonstrated commitment to a field of study, that you're not just trying to go to one place and then all of a sudden take a right turn and do different kind of work. If a grad school is trying to train you in something in particular, they want to make sure that you're going to contribute to that field. So sometimes work experience is important, and especially for college students, undergrads, this is an important thing that I think undergraduate students overlook around full-time work experience. If that graduate program or professional school requires it, they're serious about it. So you can't hodgepodge summer work experiences to be the equivalent of a full-time work experience. So you've got to pay attention to those requirements. The last few pieces to a grad school application. For those of you in the arts, you might have a portfolio or film reel or other samples of work that you have to prepare in order to apply to graduate school. There could be academic prerequisites for some programs. For those of you that graduated from college already, you might have majored in one area, and then as you've grown professionally, you've taken that right turn to get into a different career path. And so now that you're looking at grad school, for example, if you were looking at public policy, and you majored in English and you never took one calculus class, microeconomics, macroeconomics, and you're looking at these other schools, you're going to have to actually take some of these classes to prepare for those prerequisites. And again, the grad schools are serious about this. It's not optional. You have to have these done. So for those of you right now, we would be advising, okay, go to your local community college, wherever it is, and get those prerequisites done. It doesn't matter where you're taking them, as long as they're accredited, and you need to get an A. You need to get an A in those classes, the prereqs, and particularly if you're working full-time and then taking these prereqs, that's a pretty big deal when your application is being reviewed, that you're serious about your intent to prepare for graduate school. So there's things that you're doing in preparation that are important. And then lastly, financial aid. This is a very different process than your undergraduate financing. So you really need to understand how financial aid works in terms of professional and graduate schools. It can be dependent upon the department, the program, even within the same degree program that you're applying to. There could be different aid offered depending upon the area that you're going to study. Professional schools versus graduate schools vary in terms of how they fund you. So we'll talk a lot about these differences. Common questions answered at the program. So when should I go to grad school? Immediately after college, or do I need work experience? What if my GPA is not great? And what if I don't have a great GRE score? And what is great? Is a 2.5 okay? Is a 2.8, a 3.0, a 3.3? You know, what's the minimum score I need on the graduate entrance exam? These are sometimes hard questions that you want a straight answer to. How will grad school help me with my career advancement? Should I obtain the master's degree or a PhD? Why do a joint degree? What should I be doing to prepare for grad school? And for those of you that are still in undergrad, you've got some opportunities right now to think of in your next 2 years. And then those that are college graduates, again, there's opportunities for you to do things right now that will get you ready for grad schools. How will I afford to pay for graduate or professional schools? What programs will help me explore Native or Indigenous issues, if those are things that are important to you in your current work, or if you want to contribute back in a certain way? Then you've got to get very specific about programs that you're going to be looking at. If there's curriculum on Native or Indigenous issues. Some institutions don't have it, and you're going to have to bring that in yourself. And are you ready to do that? And sometimes it can be hard to do that, particularly if you're in doctoral programs where you don't have the same type of mentoring and advising from your professors in this area as other students will have. How do I study for the entrance exams? What are the specific application requirements in my intended field? How do I find support within my graduate or professional program? Again, as a graduate student, I always think that grad and professional school is a self-indulgent process, that this is time that you just get to gobble up work and skill sets that you do differently than you were in undergrad, where undergrad you're still figuring things out as a young person. Now you're focused and you know what you're after with grad school, so you don't want any regrets after grad school. You need to be going in pretty focused, so that when you come out, you've got that job ready, you know the career, you know the path that you're going to be taking. So you're going to be strategic, and in fact, you should be, when you're thinking of graduate and professional school, you should be thinking about the job that you want already. after the program is done. And then for many of us, I have a family. If you have children or parents that are now depending upon you, how will I support them while I'm in grad school? The Grad Horizons curriculum. So 72 hours, we're going to help clarify your readiness to apply to grad school and help you develop a plan to make yourself a more competitive candidate. We're going to help you determine appropriate programs and schools to apply to based on your academic performance and interests, based upon your work experience, career goals. Applications to grad or professional schools, PhD programs are different, so you need to tailor your application. You'll complete several drafts of your statement of purpose or your personal statement. You'll prepare a grad school ready CV or resume or portfolio. You'll receive test-taking strategies by the Princeton Review Foundation. Jay Rosner comes in to do those sessions. You'll understand graduate funding opportunities in your field. You'll work one-on-one with admissions officers to get direct advice. And you're going to learn about the challenges and how to succeed in graduate or professional school as a Native student. And we have a graduate panel of Native students talk about their experiences. And then again, the best thing is you're going to network with 75 to 100 Native students and professionals from around the country. Some of the 2014 partner institutions, we still have partner schools signing on for the next couple of months, so we'll be adding to this list. But just a quick shot for you to take a look at. Cornell, of course, will have their various graduate schools and professional schools represented at Graduate Horizons. But we have from business, education, public policy, social work, law, medical presented. And then partner institutions, these are our non-university partners, but who work in graduate advising, the Admission Advisory Group, the American Indian Graduate Center, Melvin Monette. He comes to represent AIGC, and he gives a big presentation on funding graduate education and some of the opportunities that AIGC has. A lot of people only think about AIGC now in terms of the Gates Millennium Scholars, but they have a whole separate arm that's also dedicated to graduate fellowships. The Consortium for Graduate Study and Management, this is a consortium of about 15 to 16 different business schools that specifically focus on underrepresented students, including Native Americans, African Americans, and Latino students. The Institute for Broadening Participation focuses on STEM. They have an incredible website. I encourage folks to look them up because they have opportunities from high school to college to professionals in internships, fellowships, job opportunities. So I really encourage folks to take a look at IBP. The Institute for the Recruitment of Teachers is one of our partners, as well as Teach for America. And then the Princeton Review Foundation, again, comes in to work on the test prep with us. Okay, so that's why attend Grad Horizons, what we're going to do with you at the program. And then this is about applying to our program. And this is a snapshot of, again, the Harvard cohort hosted by the Harvard Law School. And this was at Jay Rosner's, one of his test prep sessions. So we're all happy to get our study books. All right, so on our website, graduatehorizons.org, you click on the apply button. And then you'll see this page, and you need to register to receive an application. Once you register and submit, you'll get a pop-up screen that will allow you to download the application directly to your desktop, and then you'll also receive an email with a link to download the application. All right, our eligibility. Participant needs to be American Indian, Alaska Native, Native Hawaiian, or First Nations and provide appropriate enrollment documentation. You have to be a current college student and an accredited community, or at an accredited community college, tribal college, or four-year institution, or college graduate, or a student in a master's degree program interested in pursuing a second advanced degree. Our minimum GPA is a 2.5, and a minimum coursework is the equivalent of 2 years of coursework completed, and then be a citizen or permanent resident of the United States. The deadline is postmarked by February 4, 2014. All parts of the application needs to be mailed together in one envelope, except for the letters of recommendation and the transcripts, and you'll see on the application specific instructions about that. There is only one deadline to apply. Late applications will be accepted on a space available basis. The application parts, you have the general application, pretty straightforward, your resume or CV, short answers, and this is really kind of assessing why grad school, what are you thinking of, a self-evaluation of your academic performance. The personal essay, again, is basic information of getting to know you, waivers, and then your tribal enrollment documentation. Another application part is your academic recommendation from a professor, preferably in your major. Some of you that might be sophomores will just be declaring, so that will be okay. Hopefully, if you have a professor, though, that kind of can start to serve as that mentor for you for some of your upper level classwork, they would be great to get that letter from. And this academic recommendation is not from an academic advisor. This needs to be from someone that has taught you. So they're assessing your academic abilities and potential in the classroom. The professional recommendation letter, that can come from a direct supervisor in your employment, or this could be your academic advisor or a mentor. So there's a difference between the two, academic and professional recommendation. We need official transcripts, all transcripts, again, from every institution that you attended, even if you took 1 credit hour. Again, for grad school, you're going to have to do this. So part of our work is running you through about 90% of the steps that you're going to have to do when you apply to graduate school. So we need all your transcripts. It's also critical for us to be able to assess your academic standing too, depending upon the schools that you want to apply to. So we need to sit down with you and help you to look at this. Then you also have to submit a graduate exam, either official. Some of you may have already taken an official test, or you are planning to, or you can simply take a practice test. And we have instructions, again, when you download the application, on how to take a practice test with Princeton Review and how to score it. Do not take an official test in order to attend Grad Horizons. We don't want you doing that. You've got to get the right prep in advance to do well on that exam. So rather just take the practice test and score it. And then the last part of the application is a check or money order for $110. That's $10 for the application fee, non-refundable, and then a $100 deposit towards your total cost, which is $225. We don't accept credit cards. When you, the pieces to mail that are required in hard copy are your application, short answer, resume, waivers, tribal enrollment, and then official transcripts and GRE score, official or practice. And then if you're applying for financial aid, for airfare support from us, you need to submit tax returns, student aid report, or financial aid letter. And then letters of recommendation would need to be sealed and submitted with the application. Now, if you wanted to email a couple of parts of your application, we will accept the academic letter of recommendation and the professional letter of recommendation to come directly from the recommender, and there's instructions in the application on how they would do this. And then some folks now have, or register offices now send out transcripts as e-transcripts. So you could also have those sent to us electronically. In the application, we ask you to indicate if all of your transcripts will come by electronically or some of them will. So anyways, you'll indicate that on your application. The cost to attend is $225. That includes your linen and lodging in the dorm, 3 meals a day, all program material. Again, at the time of application, you're submitting $110, $10 non-refundable fee, application fee, and $100 deposit. This is refunded if you're not admitted or if you withdraw from the program by April 16th. You will also pay for the cost of your transportation to and from the campus. So some folks might be driving, some folks might be flying. Now, the aid that we do offer is for airfare only. And you can apply for that financial aid in the application. Again, provide copy of income tax information or your student aid report, financial aid award letter. Generally, we award about $25,000 in terms of airfare support to students. I think generally 50% of students receive full or partial airfare support. And then if you do receive a travel scholarship and decide not to attend, then you are responsible to pay cancellation fees and the cost of the ticket. Sightseeing. We will be in Haudenosaunee homelands in upstate New York. So if you want to sightsee, you would need to do this before or after the program. And there's literally no free time during the workshop to go and do anything else besides Grad Horizons. Again, 72 hours to just focus on yourself and grad school with no distractions. And it's intentional. All of the faculty attend all the sessions. All of the students attend the sessions. So if you want to sightsee, you can do that on your own time, either before or after the program. And we can book your tickets that way too. The practice, why do we require a practice graduate exam? Well, only 25% of our participants have actually taken an official graduate exam prior to coming to the program. So we need to expose more of the candidates to this exam. Again, many of you may not have taken one of these tests since high school with the SAT or the ACT. And some students, there's usually one or two that never even had to do that. And they might have gone on to tribal college or community college, then transferred up to the 4-year, and they've never actually taken a standardized test. So we need to demystify it. We want you to overcome your anxieties around this, and then most importantly, you need to learn the strategies on how to prepare for the test. This exam, the test is not used as part of our selection process, but we do use the score reports for Jay's team in terms of curriculum preparation. Should I take the practice test or official test? Again, only take an official test if you were already in the process of studying for it. For the Grad Horizons application, we only need a practice test score. And again, on the download, you'll see the instructions to take a free practice exam online. Be sure to do a full exam. Sometimes there's these partial tests where you only answer 30 questions, or there's 30-minute sections, and that's not the full exam. You need to, again, sit your body and your brain down for 3 hours and feel, remember what it feels like to take a test like this. Most of them are online. I think the LSAT is the only one that's still paper, but you need to do the full test, score it, and then print a report of your score. Our selection process is comprehensive and objective. It's based on academic performance, demonstrated leadership and community involvement, your potential for grad school and career growth, your connection and contribution to your native community. Grad Horizons is a competitive program. It's offered every 2 years, so we are getting larger numbers of applicants within the pool. We don't select every participant, even if we have space. It's based upon your full portfolio, and we'll select between 75 to 100 students to participate. It is deadline specific. Applicants who apply on time with completed applications are reviewed before and receive priority over incomplete or late applicants. So after you're admitted in February, essentially by the end of February, early March, we'll confirm your participation in the program. We'll ask you to make the final tuition payment. We'll have you book your airfare through our travel agent. And then you're going to have some pre-program work where you'll get faculty feedback on before the program. And that will include your draft statement of purpose or personal statement. You'll complete a graduate self-assessment. We'll have you research some schools and programs that you're interested in applying to, and then we'll help you have you prepare a resume or CV that's specific to grad school applications. And then we create a wiki site for program participants to use as we prep for the program and to interact with each other. All right, we're getting to the end here. Our frequently asked questions, and I know Hillary will be getting ready to ask me a few questions at the end of this webinar too. But these are the common ones that we received. Do I have to have a 2.5 GPA? Yes, this is an eligibility requirement. GH admission is a competitive process. Some students have unique situations, and I would still encourage you to contact Hillary to let us know about your situation. Sometimes students have been right around a 2.5 and they're on the upward trajectory within that semester. Sometimes I put them on the wait list and see how they do that semester to determine if they will be admitted. So I'm somewhat flexible depending upon circumstances, but there is a hard 2.5 GPA. Can I submit 2 professional letters of recommendation and not include an academic letter? We need to have one of each letter. For those that have been out of college for more than 7 years, contact Hillary to discuss this further. This is your opportunity to reestablish relationships with professors, because again, we're getting you ready for what you're going to have to do when you apply to grad school. You're going to have to get these letters. So we're forcing you to start to do these things and reestablish that relationship with those professors. The other thing is that some grad or professional schools might require an academic letter, even if you're 7-10 years out. You're going to have to find those professors, hunt them down, and try to reestablish that relationship. Some schools will allow you to submit 2 professional letters of recommendation instead. Now, what ends up happening though in some of those circumstances, when you don't have an academic letter anymore, then your transcripts and your test scores become the objective reference on your academic abilities. You don't have that person to be able to describe who you are as a student, a thinker, how you're going to contribute to the field. So again, this is where we would be counseling you in GH about how to do this. The other thing around these 2 letters of recommendation too, we're going to evaluate and assess them and help you to decide whether or not this person is going to be the right person to write you the best letter of recommendation. And sometimes it ends up not being. And in fact, sometimes we get letters where the person says, I was only informed of this within the last 2 weeks, and so I'm writing this not very well, and that would not be a very good letter for you when you're applying to graduate school. So again, we're forcing you to start to do some of this work in preparation for your applying to grad school. Do I have to submit transcripts for every college I attend? Yes. You have to submit an official transcript for every course you took in college, whether it was from a 4-year institution, community college, tribal college, or even if you just took one class at a school, at a college for 1 credit hour. We need to have all of those transcripts. Do I have to be an enrolled tribal member? Yes, applicants must provide enrollment documentation from their tribal nation, a copy, not an official documentation. Native Hawaiians provide documentation from the Ha'ulu Hawaiian Data Center, OHA, or verification from Kamehameha schools, and you'd need to contact your tribal enrollment office for these specific things. Does GH provide financial support for airfare and tuition? I'm a college student and need help to pay. GH only provides financial support for airfare. All participants must pay the $225 to attend the workshop. Again, $110 at the time of application. Airfare will be awarded to cover partial or full cost of the ticket, And again, you'll provide your tax return, student aid report, or financial aid award letter for financial support. And for those in college, you might want to contact your tribal nation, student services office, the Native American program, career services, or sometimes your department chair might have additional resources out there to fund for pre-graduate programs. So again, look to your own institution to see if they might provide support to you. Sometimes your scholarships or fellowships might also provide pre-graduate support too. Okay, I'm gonna turn it over to Hillary and ask for some questions here.
Okay, Carmen, the first question we have is, are the schools at the program interested in recruiting attendees of Grad Horizons?
Yes, so this is the kind of the business model of Grad Horizons, is that we are able to pull together, bring together 100 Native students that are interested in graduate and professional school. So this is a recruitment opportunity for these partner schools to meet you and learn about you and stay in contact with you about their programs.
Great. And the next one is, do you have any tips for reaching out to a college professor from 5+ years back?
Good question. Yeah, you'll just look them up as usual. You'll have to probably Google them, see if they're at a different institution or not. And you just start off right off the bat. You want to always be concise, be quick. I think it's sometimes I'm looking at the saying on my wall that I use when I do grant writing. It's my motivation. It's be brief, be brilliant, and be gone. Professors are very busy. You're going to be contacting them at whatever time of the semester, and you need to come to the point quickly and say, dear Professor so-and-so, this is Carmen Lopez. I was a student of yours at such and such college, and I took these courses with you. I am interested in applying to graduate or professional school in the next couple of years. I'd like to reestablish a relationship with you and hope you might be able to prepare a letter of recommendation. Now within that, actually in my application instructions for both the professional letter of recommendation and the academic letter of recommendation, I wrote an article for the Winds of Change magazine on how to prepare for and receive a strong letter of recommendation for grad school. And in this early email, you should provide your resume to them. You should remind them the classes that you took with them. If you have a copy of your transcripts or any testing information, you got to share that with them. You have to remind them who you are, what courses you took with them, what kind of student you were, if you did a thesis with them or something, and provide them with some general information of what you've been doing since you graduated. What were the jobs? And then get into grad school. What am I looking for now in terms of career advancement? So be brief with what you're telling them. Look over some of the explanation, and just know, again, for our purposes, this is the draft that they send to us is probably not going to be the best, and that's okay, because that's what we're going to help and sit down with you to talk about, is to say, you've got more work to do in reconnecting with this professor. Here's what else you can start to do. But for a start, be brief, be brilliant, and be gone. And then you're going to have to, again, follow up with them in terms of that letter to see what they're able to provide for you. If you're local, I would start out with an email, find out when their office hours are. Do not ask the professor when their office hours are. Generally, that information is online, or there is a staff assistant to the department that can provide you with that information. So sometimes in this age of email and Facebook, we get a little informal with professors, and I would say not to do that. You need to be formal with them and professional with these professors.
Great. The next one is, can the recommendation letters being submitted to Grad Horizons be used again when applying to any other grad or professional school?
Probably not. And the reason why I say that is because in this, the version that they're going to send to us, which the questions are very similar to what grad applications would ask that recommender to write about. The difference, though, is in our application, we disclose on there that their letter will be shared with you at the program. Most letters of recommendation, you'll sign the waiver that says that you agree that you will not see the official letter of recommendation, and that allows the recommender to be very candid without concern from you about how they were writing. So the point is that when you're developing this relationship with this professor, it's about the relationship, or with the supervisor, to be able for them to paint this picture of who you are and your ambition to apply to grad school, and that you've been preparing for it. Also, the other reason why it's going to be different is that the letter that we get, generally most recommenders have to apply online, so they'll have to redraft a new letter anyways. For our purposes, though, it's going to let you see the letter and then really decide, can this person write the strongest letter of recommendation, or do I need to develop a relationship with someone else to get the best kind of letter that I could get.
Great. And then the next one. I am a little intimidated by the caliber of schools represented at the program and don't know if I would be necessarily competitive for those programs. Will Grad Horizons still be able to help me?
Yes, good question. In terms of the partner schools being selective institutions, we're going to prepare you for selective admissions, and that will help you wherever you're going. And just because some of the other graduate programs may not be listed on here, especially at institutions that you're thinking of applying to, doesn't mean that you might not get into them, or that they're not at this caliber. It's just that these are the partner schools that have made a commitment to recruiting Native students. So that's one thing to think about. I think the other thing in terms of our partner schools too is to not discount your abilities yet until you understand what they're looking for, and until you've really evaluated where you're at. So don't mark these schools off your list just yet. And part of it, actually, when you use that word, these could be intimidated colleges, even for the high school program with the selective schools that we have at working with the high school students. Part of this is to demystify the process, though. It is to expose you to these institutions, see if they have the type of resources and programs to advance you in your career. And you might find out that you might be a good match for them. So it's also partly to demystify the process. We actually do some exercises on networking as well, and teaching you how to network in a very formal environment. And talk about Harvard Law School in 2012 being hosted there. We had a great networking reception, but we literally practiced. We talked about, why is networking uncomfortable? And when you go on to grad school, you're going to have to network like crazy there, because the resources are not just your professors, but it's going to be your classmates that are going to be running the show out there, and you want to understand how to network and build relationships with your peers out there. So that's a good question. Don't be intimidated by the schools. Let's demystify them, see if they're the right fit for you. And they might be, but also the schools that we're going to also recommend to you may not be the partner schools as well. So just know that too, that you'll be developing a good list of schools to apply to that might include some of our partner schools or might not.
Okay, and then last one is, if being accepted to the program, if after being accepted to the program, would it be ideal for me to do some test prep and even take one of my grad tests before the program for advising at the program?
It depends. I mean, because you could do the same thing with a practice test. So Jay Rosner, our practice, our Princeton Review teacher would say, you really only want to take the official test once. And you want to get the best score that you can get just once. And that means that you need to prepare the best that you can just once. Because why take it over and over and over? And you prepare for it once with the caveat that you have a backup plan. That if you didn't get the score that you wanted or that you need, then you've got the backup plan to take it one more time. So I think, again, for Grad Horizons purpose, to take the practice tests, come to our session to hear what Jay has to say about that preparation, and then go knock it out of the park afterwards. Now, if you were a junior or senior in college and you had already been preparing for this, then I would say go ahead with it as you were. But I just don't want you to take an official test for the purposes of applying to Grad Horizons. Only if you're seriously prepping for it for graduate studies.
And that should do it. If you have any other questions, please feel free to give me an email, as Carmen mentioned, and I'd be happy to assist you with any of the information you're looking for. Carmen, I think we're done with this. The recording will be available, and we'll automatically email you that within the next 24 hours. It'll be a YouTube link, so you'll be able to watch that online.
Okay, well, yeah, thank you, everyone. We're going to have some upcoming webinars on Cornell University and with some of our partner organizations, so be sure to take a look out for that. And if you register with us, we'll be sending you reminders. For those of you that are interested in applying, starting right now to get those letters of recommendation in order is the best thing at the start of November. Start to establish those relationships now, and then start to get those transcripts together as well, because sometimes those are the two intensive parts in terms of external people. You're trying to get other people to do things for you, and then with the transcripts, depending upon how your school does it, that may take you a little bit of time to get those ordered and available. So good luck. Be in touch with us if you have anything, and we're glad you're thinking about Grad Horizons. Thank you very much.